So in this video, I will show you how I use a speed light like this and this modifier to transform this scene into this. So hi everyone, this is Jiggie, a portrait and wedding photographer from the Philippines, and welcome to the channel. So before anything else, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel and would want to learn more about off-camera flash photography or maybe just photography in general, then this channel is for you. So you might want to consider subscribing, and while you're at it, click that notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Now, if you want to see more of my images, you could also find me on Instagram. It's at Jiggie Alejandrino. So in this video, I am once again taking you behind the scenes during one of my engagement shoots, actually just one particular layout, to show you how I transformed an otherwise mundane scene into something that's very dynamic with the help of a speed light and my Magmod mag sphere. So before that, let's actually talk about this Magmod mag sphere. You install it on your speed light like this. It's actually a flash modifier. You install it like this, and you mount the mag sphere here. Now, the purpose of this light, contrary to popular belief, is that it's not really supposed to make your light softer. However, it is supposed to spread the light, give you an even distribution of light, which is exactly what I need in order for me to be able to create the image that I showed you earlier. Plus, it also helps that it is very tiny, so I could put it in places that you wouldn't think of putting it. Okay, so let me show you. So this is the scene that we decided to shoot in. As you can see, we really had an overcast day. Therefore, it actually created a beautiful soft light. By the way, this was shot in El Nido, Palawan. It's an island in the Philippines. It's a fantastic place to actually go on a vacation or even to shoot. And this particular area is actually known to have beautiful sunsets. However, with sunsets, it's a hit or miss thing. Sometimes you get a beautiful sunset, sometimes you don't. But as photographers, we always have to prepare and hope that we will be getting a beautiful sunset. But in this case, I already knew I needed to push it a little bit. So what did I do? I basically underexposed the scene in order for me to get a little bit of color in the sky. And how did I do that? Well, basically, I used the exposure triangle, in other words, my ISO, my shutter speed, and my aperture to control my ambient light. So that's what I did. Now, the problem is, if I did underexpose just to bring out a little bit of detail here in the sky, I would also be underexposing the couple. Now, if I did underexpose a couple, I would actually have to put in a light. The most obvious place to put it was really going to be in front of the subjects to give you an image something like this. However, in this particular case, since my existing ambient light was coming from this general direction, and I had my light coming from here, it just didn't feel very harmonious. So what did I do? Basically, I actually saw this one while we were eating, waiting for the sunset. And I was like, you know what? What if I actually lit this with a flash, or I lit them with a flash and yet make it seem as if the light was coming from here? So that's what I did with this one. The Magmod mag sphere with my flash, I actually tried to put it inside, but the lamp was too small. So what I did was actually just put it behind, which I will show you. And this was actually one of my test shots. So you could see here, I couldn't even fit this entire Magmod mag sphere inside this lamp because that's how small it was. But by doing that, I was now able to underexpose the existing ambient light and still have a very good direction of light, a very natural looking direction of light. So I then proceeded to put the lamp here in the middle of the table, and I knew I would have the bride here and the groom here. Now, all I needed to do was wait for that moment that had a beautiful sky already. So we were fortunate enough that the clouds dispersed a little and created that formation. So this is how it looked like actually when we were shooting. And the reason why I chose this behind the scenes photo is so that you can see I actually had my Photex Indra here, and I did some test shots, which personally I didn't like the output of. And you could see the drone right here. And this is the actual shot of this scene. So from this scene, this was a shot without light. You can see they are underexposed and the light didn't pop, and I didn't have my Photex popping here in front of them. Okay, so after that, I decided to just turn on the light here and fix their pose a little bit. And this was the actual straight out of camera photo with absolutely no editing yet. And my final settings were f10, 1/125 at 1 stop underexposed, but I still had my ISO at 100. And yes, I really shot it at f10 in order for me to get the most out of my flash. What do I mean by that? Whenever you're using small speed lights like this and you have to go on high speed sync, you really suck the power out of this small flash unit. In other words, I don't think I would have been able to control the sun in that particular exposure if I had this one on high speed sync, because what high speed sync does is that it gives continuous pops of light, and in my personal experience, I actually lose about 60% of power, and that's why you need to be able to shoot within your flash sync speed in order for you to be able to get the most out of this flash. In other words, this small speed lights, personally, I can even get about f16, f22, or even higher depending on the distance of my flash to my subject. I even made a mistake of shooting at 1/125 instead of 1/250, which is the real flash sync speed of my camera. Now, if you want to know your flash sync speed, it is really camera or model dependent. Some Sony cameras can only have a flash sync speed of 1/160, others 1/200. It is dependent on your camera. And again, since I was shooting wide, I really didn't need the bokeh. So actually, if I went down to, or I went to a shutter speed of 1/250, I might have been able to bring down my aperture to about 5.6 and have more power in my flash actually. But you know, it worked out pretty well, okay? Then finally, this is the final processed image. You see, I fixed the distortion of the lens because I shot this. Oh, by the way, I shot this one with a Sony a7R Mark II with a 16-35 f4 lens. So with a 16-35 lens, there will be a bit of distortion. Of course, it needed a little bit of tweaking, and that's exactly what I did here in this final image. I basically straightened the horizon, adjusted my white balance to make it warmer, and cleaned out a little things like, you know, here you could see here, I just removed that. But that's basically what I did. That's how simple it was. And also because I knew my camera, I knew that the sensor in that camera was fantastic when it comes to actually bringing out the shadows. And since I shot in RAW, I was able to bring out the shadows here and balance out the light. So it made it look as if everything was just really coming from here. So by having my light positioned there and having a small speed light like this in a place where it's practical, in other words, there is a reason for light to be there, I was able to hopefully make the light harmonious or make it look as natural as possible. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do consider subscribing to the channel, and while you're at it, click that notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Now, if you guys want to learn more about off-camera flash photography, I do conduct one-on-one online workshops, the details of which I will put in the description below. Now again, if you want to see more of my images, you could find me on Instagram. It's at Jiggie Alejandrino. Okay, till the next video.